Hello, everyone, and welcome to Beautifully Bruised in the CPS show. My name is Latrika Jones. I am your host, and I do have some information for you that I do believe that will be very, very helpful about things that you might not know that is pertaining to your CPS case. First and foremost, I want to thank God, my Lord and Savior, for allowing me to share my experience to hopefully help someone along their journey with some of the same things I had to face personally dealing with CPS. And I'm hoping some of the things that I have learned and had experienced would also help you and make you be more successful with bringing your children back home as well. And again, I'm only speaking from my personal experience dealing with CPS and what I have learned, as well as some information that I've researched and that helped me. I did a lot of reading and, just looking up things to know more about what I was really dealing with, because at the beginning, I know it could seem very overwhelming, and it's really like something that I've never experienced in my life. And I just, again, because of so much I went through and I wasn't aware of, thank God, God sent me people that will help me along the way to help me understand better of what that is. And speaking of that, I also want to say, anything dealing with, specific questions pertaining to court and the laws, I would definitely recommend Attorney Vince if he's available. And if he's not available, seek some type of wise legal counsel to help you. Because I've also learned that from my mistake that I thought I could represent myself until I realized that I was getting further and further deeper down this tunnel with CPS, and it wasn't good for me at all. Because time is of an essence when you're dealing with these CPS cases. So the sooner you can bring legal counsel on with you from the jump, I will recommend, the better off it will be for you. But with that being said, I definitely wanted to share that information. And some of the things I know that when I was dealing with the case, as far as knowing, what to say, what not to say, that's also was a test for me, because I was thinking like, hey, I could just tell them, this has to be some type of mistake. A lot of times, people don't know how the CPS reports are made. And I think that's important to know, because here recently in Texas, they did share that it was a story where new mother, first time, having her child, and her and the child's father was at the hospital. And I don't know all the full details, but what I do know that she was completely heartbroken because some kind of way CPS was involved and they took her brand new newborn baby away. And you could see the devastation and the shock on her face because, just imagine a brand new mom and your brand new bundle of joy that you didn't carried for nearly 9 months and given birth to, that the government or the state has taken that child away. Like I say, it just, you could just see in her face that she was shocked. I was shocked to just see how it happened, because they did release some of the details is that I believe they had that child mixed up with another child, unfortunately. And my God, can you imagine what that can be like? So I just want to share with you, because of that story and also what I personally witnessed, what happened to me at the beginning of my investigation or case dealing with CPS. I want you to know that it is showing that most of the CPS reports, they are done from the schools, where your child may be in daycare, Head Start, elementary school, middle school, wherever the case may be. Schools are normally known to make the CPS reports, whatever they witnessed or they felt, their question or whatever the case may be regarding your child. Research has also shown that legal and law enforcement, which you probably already know, that sometimes the police can come to your door with the CPS worker, and sometimes it might be just a CPS worker or, who's ever investigating your case that might continuously show up at your door, along with hospitals. Like I said, the story that was recently on the news, it was a young mother. She was sharing that she just given birth to her baby, and sadly, that CPS had taken her child away. And because of that, like I said, I thought this is very important that you be aware of these locations, because these are normally, have been shown to be places where the CPS reports, that's where they are created from, at these locations. When the CPS will begin to start, coming into your life and investigating you and your children. Also, like I said, at hospitals, the doctor's office, any type of medical location, maybe where you go to check your child out for shots, if they're sick or whatever the case may be. I want you to know that these are also places that I do believe that they do have to report any suspicion that they may have, and they will. So, these are normally the locations, including, social services. You might, someone might call the social services and their staff to let them know about any type of speculation that they may have regarding your children. Sadly, I've also been a target where even sometimes it don't even have to be true. It could be like an ex or someone who just don't even like you. It could be a family member, a ex-friend, whatever spite or anger that they have against you. They sometimes use CPS as a weapon against you, because they know, like, I think from my understanding and what I've observed, I've had a dear friends that actually, one of my previous shows, I had a previous caseworker. She's no longer working as a caseworker, but she did share, even if the accusation may not be real, it could be something that, like an ex might have called in just to get back at you, or she's mad at you, or whatever the situation might be, that CPS normally has to still go out and investigate, any type of possible concern, mistreatment with the child. And I actually understand that. I guess, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So I understand, no matter what, that they will have to come out and, make sure the child is okay. But she did share, I don't know if you was able to watch that show that I had with her on here, but she did share that they do normally can tell that this was a call that was based off of, an ex retaliating, a family member retaliating because they're mad at you for whatever reason. And I think that is good. I was glad to know that, even though they, have to come out just to verify everything is okay with with your children, but they already have a good insight that it was something that was based off of fraudulent, just somebody just trying to get back at you because they're mad at you for whatever reason. So she did share that. So keep that in mind as well. And sometimes you might want to know, like I did, what can I do to protect myself? Because if somebody's mad at you and they just feel like trying to ruin your life today, they could just bring people into your life and to interrogate your children and you at your home. What can you do to defend yourself? And I know that Attorney Vince is great about sharing, things that can, be done. I know when it happened to me, I was able to share with the caseworker, what I was going through at the time. And, she asked me for some questions, and I just shared, I do believe this is a form of retaliation, because I found out the person actually admitted that they did do that at me because they were mad at the time. So they did, at least come correct with the truth, but it doesn't help you when you're interfaced with the government, wanting to know the details of your life story and your children. It doesn't take away, what they bring about into your life. But, I just pray and hope that no one ever will get that mad, that will want to interrogate or put somebody through that, because it's not just the parents that have to go through that. It's the children that has to be investigated and go through it as well. So I hope that there are more strict laws one day, if they're not already in place, that will govern, people that is just being targeted as because somebody is mad at them and they just want something to be done wrong or something bad in their lives. I really hope and pray that laws will be implemented to cover and protect, people from having to go through that from someone that's angry at them for no reason, just to be mean and upset and angry. But I also think it is important that if you are to talk to CPS for whatever reasons there may be, And I know some people question this. Some people say, well, I'm not going to talk to them. I haven't done anything wrong. I don't want them at my house. I don't want them in my life. I don't want to have anything to do with CPS. From the previous CPS workers that I've had on my show that, they were seasoned, may not even be a CPS worker any longer. They might have went on to a different department, but they've all pretty much said, I've had two CPS, one CPS caseworker, and also I had another, she also worked with CPS and did the children visitation. She was a supervisor intaker for CPS, and she also worked as a CPS worker as well. They both shared that normally it is best that, if you can talk to them, go ahead. If you have done nothing wrong and you don't have anything to hide, from my understanding, like I said, this is only from my experience, what I went through. You do have the option to talk to them, but you also have the option if you don't want to talk to them. If you just prefer to have a legal attorney with you before you say anything. And actually, I understand that as well. If you feel more comfortable with having a legal attorney to speak for you before you speak to them, I think there's nothing wrong with that, because that way, you have someone that's there to represent you, to know what to say, to know how to handle your case or whatever questionings that's coming about. So I would strongly, honestly recommend that you speak or have a legal counsel like Attorney Bent, or if he's not available, or some type of attorney that can represent you. And sometimes attorneys might tell you it's okay to speak to them, but I would definitely ask attorney's opinion first before you make that decision. That would just be me. And again, I'm only speaking off of what I personally went through. I'm not a legal attorney, but I only can speak off of my experience. And with that being said, I just also wanted to share too with that, as far as some of the questions that is pertaining to that, where sometimes where CPS, like I say, normally most CPS reports are shown to be normally known in hospitals, where you might go to take your child for their regular checkups, or they might be sick all of a sudden. You have to take them to the emergency room or the hospitals. It also is showing that at the schools where your child may be attending, their elementary school, daycare, Head Start. These are some facilities that are known to make calls or reports to CPS, along with that we previously mentioned social services, that they might receive a phone call, whatever speculation or interest that someone is calling in about. Hopefully, they're not calling to just be spiteful at you, to be mad at you and try to hurt you with this type of thing, but whatever reason that they're calling for. These are some of the the ways that the CPS reports are created. And that's when CPS began to start investigating and coming into your life and visiting your home and coming to your son's school or your daughter's school, or whatever the case may be. I also want to share, because I did find this to be very, I found it to be very interesting. I'm located in Texas, and statistics is showing that Texas is known to have some of the highest cases dealing with CPS. It's showing in 2021, it was about 52,345 unique victims of child abuse that were reported in Texas, with this being the most of any state, being of the highest of CPS, court reports that went forth. Out of all the states, right here in Texas, that where I live at, is where it's showing that we're known to have some of the highest cases dealing with CPS. Sadly, like I said, I just seen a news story on the news about a few days ago about that young lady I was just talking about. She was a brand new mother giving birth to her baby, and before she was able to bring the baby out of the hospital, CPS had taken the baby away from her. And so, my heart just drops, because that's, I'm sure, the last thing that you're thinking of, that you're not going to be able to bring your new baby home with you. And you definitely don't want to be caused in a case where they accidentally got the wrong baby. I can only imagine the fear and the pain, that the heartbreak that they're going through. But it just goes to show you that this can happen at any place and at any time. And I think it's important to know, where these cases are being created and reported, so you can be more mindful of what to expect and what to be aware of, when you take your children to the hospitals, to the doctor visits. Make sure their shots are in place. Make sure everything that you can possibly do as a parent. And I know being a parent is not easy. Sometimes you have an oversight. You might forget to get that extra jacket, or you forget that shot record, or whatever the case might be. But I just want to, even with myself, just to learn to be more proactive, because these are the places where these CPS cases can be started. And once they start, oh my God, it is, it's not easy getting out of them. You can, don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, it can sometimes be a long, outdrawn process. And speaking of that, I can speak with my personal case. Mine was long, drawn. It went out as long as it possibly could. I remember continuously asking my caseworker, what has changed? Why is this being prolonged? Why is this being held out as long as possible? But my attorney, who I hired, thank God, she told me, this is not about you or your children. This is not. This is bigger than you. This is the system. This is connected to politics. This is connected to power. This has nothing to do with you. Take you out of the equation. Okay. And I had to really, because it's almost like you have to learn to reprogram your mind to think a certain kind of way when you're dealing with CPS cases. You think it's just normal. Oh, hey, I could just talk to them and everything will be fine. Absolutely not. It's more to it than what meets the eye. Trust me, because I've been through it, and I'm telling you, you want to seek and have legal counsel, someone that knows how to work CPS cases, someone that knows what to say, how to get the evidence that they need. Just know how to win your case. Okay, that is honestly my advice from what I've experienced. And so with that being said, it's also sharing that, if you talk to CPS, you need to know, and this is something that I also had to learn as well. You need to know that they're looking for evidence of abuse or neglect. You thinking like, oh, I'm just calling me. Maybe they want to come in, give them something to drink or something to snack on and just talk. Even one of my last guests, she shared that when they're coming in, she said, I work for the government. I work for the state, and I'm here to do my job. I'm not here to be your auntie. I'm not here to be your uncle. I'm not here to be none of that. I'm here to do my job. And, and again, you might not even be guilty. It could be something about someone that's in your house that maybe have questionable actions. They might have nothing to do with you. So that's why I think it's imperative to know how to interact once, this CPS, they come into your life. And with that being said, you do need to know what they're looking for. The least little thing can be held against you. I've heard sometimes they check in your refrigerator. I had one that came in and looked at my refrigerator, and I had no idea what she was looking for. They want to make sure you have food in your refrigerator. Sadly, I've even heard of a case where the lights wasn't cut on. The utilities, the parents got behind on their utility bill, and I think their lights were cut off. And I think, I won't say think, they look at stuff like that. So you want to make sure your overhead is, your bills are paid as best you can. Set up a payment arrangement. I know here in Texas, we even have different agencies that we can call if you see that you're going to be behind on your bills, that they can help you pay your utility bills. Sometimes there's money that's set aside, even in the government, that they have for people that may be low income, single parents, lack of resources, whatever the case may be. Utilize some of these services. That's what they're there for, because you do not want CPS to be knocking on your door by any surprise and come in and see something that you weren't expecting, and it can actually be something they can use against you. Including with that, like I say, anything of that nature, making sure your food has plenty of food, or, at least, make sure there's food in there for the children to eat, and the caseworkers can see that. Make sure the place is clean, keep it tidy, you don't want junk and clothes all over the place. They can look at that, the kids' bedroom, making sure they have a livable place to sleep. I'm telling you, you thinking you're coming in, just showing them your place around, and actually they can be looking at what they can use against you. So it's very important to know these things, I do believe, because it's something that can, make a difference once they come out to your house. And to also determine if they're going to continue to keep that case open towards you and continue to move forward with it. And with that being said, I just want to mention, about your place, making sure things are the way that it should be, including you might even be the alleged perpetrator. Like I said, it could be somebody living with you. It could be a family member. It could be, I don't know, an older child, an older sibling. It can be a boyfriend, a girlfriend. If it's something that they have a problem with and they're in a house with you, guess what? Then that's going to affect you because your children is there as well. So you want to make sure that the company that you keep is nothing that's going to be a hindrance to you and your children, where CPS can come in and start trying to take action against you by removing your children. I just think that's so important that, that you can be aware of that as well. And if you don't talk to CPS, like I just mentioned earlier, that's at your discretion. I would definitely recommend getting legal counsel to see what is the best way to do. I would speak to them first. That's what I did. And they will be able to direct you on which way to go. But I do want to say that from what I've heard, that if you don't allow them in, sometimes they can take legal action. But by having your attorney that is fully aware of how CPS cases are, they will be able to, thank God, direct you on how you should handle that as well. So, and that is, again, depending on the facts of your case, all that, plays along and goes along with that. And I just thought this was vital details, because some people just honestly do not know what is going on. And knowledge is power. Transparency transforms. And I always like to share that because it does. It makes a huge difference, as far as how to handle these CPS cases. And we're getting a few minutes left, but I also want to share this as well. CPS dealing with special needs children. I think that is very interesting to know that I have read information that has shared that even dealing with special needs children, that a lot of these caseworkers know, they'll find out eventually their children is, special needs. I can say from my experience, my son at the time was 4 years old. He actually was, the caseworker that was handling my case, she had made a determination to place my child in a mental ward at 4. And to this day, that still bothers me because, you can't protect your kid. And I can only imagine what a 4-year-old is thinking of in this huge, cold, dark location. I do remember he would say, "Mommy, I seen a lot of shadows outside my door. I seen a lot of people that was moving back and forth. I heard screams all throughout the night. Ants bit me all throughout the night. It was very cold and freezing. And my heart just broke. And to this day, I'm still affected by it, if you want to know the truth. You can't even protect your child in a place like that. And I found out later on that actually the age 4 was not even the age limit that my child should have been there. It started at age 5. And 4 and 5 is almost the same age. But if you think about your child as being placed in a facility where mostly grown people were held for, whatever psychological reasons, they had a minor toddler in the middle of all that. And to this day, I must say that I do think in certain ways that has affected him. It's certain things, you just can't forget. You might forget what a person say, but you'll never forget how they make you feel. And I've had people that told me, the caseworker at the time that was over my case, that I had a terrible, she wasn't a good caseworker, because so many things that she was doing that I later found out that wasn't right. But I stayed prayed up. I kept my faith in God. They might have taken a lot of things away from me, but they couldn't take away my faith. That's one thing that they could not take. So that is what gave me the strength to continue to fight them. And I had legal counsel, thank God. And I had a great support team in my corner. And I was able to, get my son back. And even at the end, I must share with you, they told me, you overcame. You overcame. And I'm thinking to myself, absolutely, I overcame. Jesus overcame the world. So he already came and did what he already set forth for us to do. We just have to follow him. And that's what I did that day. And so many ways, when I tell you everything they tried to do, it seemed like they backpedaled. They became friendly to me. They even was like, seemed like they were kind of just more agreeing to what I was saying in court when they wasn't before. So it's amazing what determination can do. Don't give up on your children. Do not. I say keep your faith in God first and foremost. And also, do whatever it takes to get your children back. As far as, if they want you to take drug tests, like I shared before, I've never done drugs in my life. I've even had a doctor tell me, you have been through so much in your life. I can't believe you've never done drugs. She said, I can't believe you've never even done drugs or alcohol. But you know what I told her? I have always had faith in God. God to me gives me a high that nothing in this world can top. That's just my story. Truly and faithfully, seriously, that has been my story. Like I never had to turn to any substance, because if God is in the picture some kind of way, he would always work it out. I mean, when I tell you, there have never, ever not been a time where God hasn't came through. And speaking of that, I also just wanted to share out of my book, Beautifully Bruised, that I have written dealing with CPS. This is the cover here. Beautifully Bruised, Crushed for Christ, and my name is on it. This is the story that God had led me to write. I journaled through my nearly a year of everything I was going through with CPS and everything I got out of it, what I've learned from it. I'm sharing it in this book, and I want to just read a page to you, a paragraph, not a page, because I know we're getting close to time, but it's just some of the things that I hope it will encourage your spirit. Sometimes you feel so sad and depressed and disappointed and failed even. And, I just, sometimes it just can be just simple words that can encourage you to lighten your soul, just to get back up again. Your children are worth fighting for. They're your legacy. They are our future. Why I believe what don't kill you makes you stronger. It makes you better. So I can tell you that is why a lot of times I kept going. It wasn't that I wasn't tired. I didn't feel defeated, but I knew my child had a right to be with his parents. And I was not going to allow nobody to stop that from being happening. If God say, this is the child you're going to raise, I'm going to give you the anointing and the strength to raise this child. Guess what? That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my part. My mom always told me before she passed, you be there for your children. Whether they want you there or not, you still love and be there as much as you can for your children. And with that being said, I just want to read you one paragraph that encouraged me during my time when I was dealing with CPS. And it says here, don't worry. Everything you are going through is simply just a part of the process. I'm sure you may have heard this before, and it is true. It will make you better and help others out because of it. And you might not see that now. It might not feel like it. But as you look back on it a few years from now, you're going to understand what I'm saying. It's really going to make you a better person, a stronger person, to be able to go and help other people that's going through CPS like I'm doing with you today, to encourage others, to showing them if God can bring me out, guess what? You're next. He can do the same thing for you. As long as you put God first and you put the necessary resources in place, like an attorney, like Attorney Vince or another legal counsel to be by you, get you a good support system. Watch and see how God will blow your mind, how he can turn that thing around. What the devil meant for evil, God can turn it for the good. I am a living witness and testimony of just that. So I want to continue this by also saying, you are needed. Your life matters. Your children love you and they need you. And you were made for such a time as this. Nothing happens by for coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. Okay. The tests are only to prepare your strength for all the many meaningful, wonderful plans that Jesus has for your life. He can even take this and use this. Even this, he can take it and use it. Don't think that, this is something that God can't use. God can use this very thing as a test to bless you and your children and many others that's going through the same thing that you're going through. So I just want to tell you to just stay encouraged. Know that God has the final answer. And it is not over yet. I don't care how long you've been in it, a year, 6 months, 2 years, whatever. It is nothing too hard that God cannot turn around. So I feel blessed and privileged to be able to have this platform to use my story for overcoming CPS and winning against CPS. That God is using my story for his glory. I have a lot of other great tools and resources that I know that will be very helpful for you, like they were for me, coming up in my upcoming shows. So I just want to tell you to stay encouraged, that it's not over yet, and the best is still yet to come. Fight for your babies because they need you and they love you. And I can't wait to hear your testimonies. Until next time, thank you for watching Beautifully Bruised in the CPS show. And I'm your host, Latrika Jones. Have a blessed day.